You're talking for industrial, you're talking warehouse.
Big warehouses and manufacturing,
And
sorry.
that's a
Yes.
sweet spot right now.
Yeah, so all the logistics, Rickenbacker, out in Pataskala, anywhere along the I-70 corridor, but even in areas like Toledo and Dayton, up the 75 corridor, is huge for these warehouses as industrial. Thank you for helping me clarify. Retail's at about 6.5%, and the big sweet spot in retail is standalone buildings of what's called triple net leases, where basically the investor doesn't have to take care of any of the expenses, the tenant's on the hook for all of it. They're usually signing 10 or 15-year leases, so it's a good long-term hold where you may be buying a bank or a drugstore or a fast food, something along those lines. There's a huge demand for those on there. And then office is about 6.6%. So again, they're all along pretty much those lines, and there's a big difference between office and the CBD and the suburbs, and it can really vary by market. Hotels are at about 8.5%, and I'm involved in 2 hotels that have both done very well, one a little bit better than the other, and then the overall average is about 6.3%. So right now, today, that's a pretty good number you can take to the bank. And obviously you compare that to what you have in stocks and bonds and any other types of investments that you do, and you always want to have a balance of what you're doing, but it's always up to that individual what that is. Again, what's their risk tolerance? What's their hold period? How much capital do they have? How much capital are they comfortable investing? And once you know those areas, then you can really decide how I'm going to go. Do I want to go to loan? Do I want to go into a partnership, a small one, a big one on there? Most lenders today, for an investment, you need about 30% down. So $1 million project, you need $300,000 down plus closing costs. Put it in round numbers, okay? For an owner-user project, if you own your own office building, typically there's SBA loans you can get in for 10% down. So big difference, or traditional usually 20, but it gets back obviously to the credit of the entity that's buying the property, okay? So that's where that cash comes out. Now let me say this in another way. There's more cash sitting on the sideline today than there ever was looking for the right investment. Should they buy stock? Should they buy bonds? Should they buy real estate, gold, cryptocurrency, et cetera, et cetera, okay? So when people are doing that, a lot of people are confused because there's usually not one person that's an expert in everything. I'm certainly not. I'm a real